Millionaire abandons wife. 10 years later, he sees her at the airport. With a young man who looks before watching the video, please leave a like to support our channel. Chicago's O'Hare International Airport hummed with life that chilly Friday morning, a tapestry of rushing footsteps and hurried announcements echoing off the high glass ceilings. Among the sea of travelers, Benjamin Carter, a man whose tailored coat and gleaming leather shoes spoke of a life of wealth and precision, stood still, unusually still. He glanced at his platinum wristwatch, its face a gift from his board of directors the year he sealed the biggest real estate deal in Illinois. He had built an empire. On paper, Benjamin was everything he ever dreamed of becoming. Yet inside, there was a silence, a hollow ache, like a song that had been cut off mid-note. He exhaled, adjusting the strap of his leather briefcase. Just another business trip to New York. Just another round of meetings, handshakes, and empty victories. But fate has a way of slipping through the cracks of even the most carefully constructed lives. As he turned toward his boarding gate, a flash of movement caught his eye. A woman, walking briskly with a boy clutching her hand. Something about the way they moved together tugged at something long buried within him. His breath caught. The woman's hair, brown, flowing freely past her shoulders. Her gait, confident yet gentle. Her profile, so familiar it made his chest tighten. Lily. Her name slipped from his lips like a prayer spoken too late. But it wasn't just Lily that stunned him. The boy. No older than 10. Blonde, unruly hair that seemed impossible to tame. Green eyes like the ones he used to see in the mirror as a child. There was even something about the way the boy held himself, shoulders back, head tilted ever so slightly when he asked a question, that jolted Benjamin like a slap from the past. His hands trembled and time around him blurred. He saw, for a flickering moment, the ghost of a younger version of himself. In that boy. He remembered the morning a decade ago when he slipped out of their tiny shared apartment, suitcase in hand, leaving only a folded letter on the kitchen table. No explanations, no goodbyes, just ambition and cowardice. Had Lily been pregnant? His knees weakened at the thought. The realization hit like a freight train. Had he not just abandoned the woman he once loved, but also a child? His child? He tried to move forward, feet heavy as iron. "Lily!" he called out, but his voice was swallowed by the sound of rolling suitcases and overhead announcements. The crowd pressed in like a tide, pushing him away. By the time he broke through, they were gone, nowhere in sight. He stood in the middle of the terminal, disoriented, heart pounding like a drum against his ribs. His phone buzzed insistently. He looked at the screen. Vanessa, his current wife. He didn't answer. "Sir, your flight is about to depart," a flight attendant said, approaching him gently. Benjamin looked from the gate back into the lobby, then slowly shook his head. "I'm not getting on that plane," he whispered. And with that, he turned around, walking away not just from a flight, but from the life he had built. He needed to know. He needed to find them. He needed the truth, whatever it cost him. The cab ride into the city blurred past like a dream Benjamin couldn't quite wake from. Chicago's streets, once so familiar, now felt distant, like pages from a book he had closed a long time ago. He sat in the back seat, staring out the window as the skyline rose into view, the buildings tall and proud, untouched by time. Unlike him. "Downtown," he told the driver absently. But what he really meant was somewhere to begin again. Benjamin's mind raced with 1,000 questions, none of which had answers. He had built his fortune on strategy, on risk, on calculated decisions. But this was something else entirely. He wasn't sure if he was chasing a memory, or the last chance to right a wrong too old to be spoken out loud. He pulled out his phone and scrolled past missed calls from Vanessa. He hovered over one name he hadn't dialed in years. Frank DeLuca, a private investigator. An old friend from a lifetime ago, before boardrooms and stock options. Back when Benjamin still had dirt under his fingernails and dreams that didn't come with a price tag. He hit call. "DeLuca," a gruff voice answered on the third ring. "Frank, it's Ben Carter." A pause. "Well, I'll be. You still alive?" "Barely. Benjamin said, trying to force a chuckle. I need your help. Frank's tone shifted instantly, sharp and focused. What's going on? I saw someone. At the airport. A woman. Her name's Lily. She used to be my... He hesitated. Someone important. She had a child with her. A boy. Frank, he looked just like me. Silence on the other end. You think he might be yours? I don't know, Benjamin whispered. That's what I need you to find out. All right, Frank said after a beat. Give me everything you remember. Last address, job, friends, whatever you got. Benjamin closed his eyes, trying to summon pieces of a past he had spent years trying to forget. The apartment with the peeling wallpaper. The way Lily's hair always smelled like lavender after a long day at work. Her laugh when she found joy in simple things. Sunday pancakes, a thrift store book, a child's drawing. She was a school teacher, he said finally. North Side. Worked with elementary kids. Last I knew, we lived off Belmont Avenue. It's been 10 years. Frank scribbled down the notes. This won't be fast, he warned, but I'll find her. I don't care how long it takes, Benjamin said. Money's not an issue. There was a pause on the line. Some things aren't about money, Ben. I know that now. As he ended the call, Benjamin sat in the quiet hum of the taxi, the weight of a decade pressing on his chest like a stone. He had walked away from Lily once, walked away from the warmth of her love, from the simplicity of home, from who he was before ambition rewrote his soul. And now? He might have walked away from his child, too. In a modest neighborhood on Chicago's North Side, a woman stirred in the early light of morning. Lily, now older, stronger but still graceful in her quiet resilience, stood in the kitchen flipping pancakes. The house smelled like cinnamon and sunlight. Breakfast, she called gently. From the hallway came the thud, thud, thud of running feet. Noah, 10 years old, all elbows and energy, tumbled into the kitchen with a grin wide enough to warm any winter day. Morning, Mom, he said, sliding into his chair. Lily ruffled his hair affectionately. You were up early. I was dreaming about dinosaurs again? She smiled, but as she looked at her son, her heart clenched. He looked so much like Benjamin. The same eyes, the same crooked smile. She had spent years telling herself it was just coincidence. Genetics were strange, after all. But yesterday, at the airport, she had seen him, Benjamin. And now she couldn't unsee it. The old wounds bled anew, and questions she had buried came rushing back like a tide. Did he recognize her? Did he know? Did he care? Lily shook herself from the spiral. Noah was her focus now, always had been, always would be. But far across town, Benjamin sat in a hotel room, staring at an empty glass, waiting, hoping, dreading. When the phone finally rang 2 days later, his hands shook. Frank didn't waste time. Found her. Benjamin sat up straight. She's still in Chicago, lives in a quiet neighborhood, still teaching, divorced officially, no record of marriage. And the boy? Benjamin asked, his voice tight. Frank's voice dropped. Name's Noah, 10 years old. Same last name as Lily. No father on record. From what I can tell, she raised him alone. Benjamin closed his eyes. The truth, now undeniable, crashed over him. He had a son, and he had missed every birthday, every first word, every scraped knee and bedtime story. A storm of regret swelled inside him. Thank you, Frank, he said softly. Frank hesitated before hanging up. Ben, whatever you decide to do next, do it with your heart, not your wallet. A gray afternoon drizzle slicked the sidewalks of Maple Street, a quiet residential stretch lined with aging oaks and children's bicycles abandoned on porches. It was a street that didn't care about wealth or prestige. Here, laundry flapped from backyard lines and porch swings creaked in the wind. Real life happened here, the kind Benjamin Carter hadn't touched in over a decade. He sat in his sleek black sedan, parked a few houses down from the address Frank had given him. The GPS had stopped. His heart hadn't. There it was. A modest, blue-painted house with white trim. A yellow plastic swing hung from a tree in the front yard, and a scooter leaned lazily against the porch. The front window glowed with the warm amber of kitchen light. Lily's house. He could see her silhouette through the curtains. Lily moving about in the kitchen, her hair tied back, her posture the same as he remembered. And then, the boy, Noah, bounded into view, arms waving animatedly as he spoke. Even from this distance, Benjamin could see his son's bright energy. His son. Benjamin rested his forehead against the steering wheel, his breath shallow. He had rehearsed 100 scenarios in his head. Walking up to the door, explaining everything, asking for forgiveness. But now, watching them in this simple rhythm of life, something held him back. And then came the moment he hadn't prepared for. A man entered the kitchen, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a gentle smile and carrying a bag of groceries. Noah ran to him, leaping into a hug. Lily greeted him with a soft kiss on the cheek. The three of them stood together, framed by the golden window like a painting Benjamin could never hang in any of his penthouses. His stomach twisted, his jaw clenched. Who was he? Frank had said his name was Daniel, Lily's partner for the past 2 years, a physical therapist. Not wealthy, not powerful, but clearly present, kind, involved. Benjamin's chest tightened. That was the life he might have had, should have had, if he hadn't walked away. He watched as Daniel helped Noah with homework, Lily laughing as she stirred something on the stove. They were a family, one that had healed without him. A painful thought crept in like a whisper. Do I even have a right to show up now? He thought of his penthouse in the city, the 5-star restaurants, the private jet waiting for him that morning, left abandoned at the terminal. None of it could replace what he saw through that window. For the next hour, Benjamin sat in the car, frozen in that place between past and present, between what was and what could never fully be again. Then the front door opened. Lily stepped outside with a watering can, walking to the garden beds that lined the porch. She bent to water the roses, her movements slow and mindful. Benjamin's heart pounded. He couldn't help it. He stepped out of the car. The air was crisp, damp with the scent of rain and soil. He stayed across the street, trying to look casual, pretending to admire the trees. And then, their eyes met. Lily froze, the watering can tipping in her hand, water spilling onto her boots. She stared at him for a moment that felt like a lifetime. Then slowly she walked across the street. "Ben?" she asked, voice low, disbelieving. He opened his mouth, but the words stuck. Her face, so familiar, but changed by time and wear and strength. "Why are you here?" she asked, her tone hardening, though her hands trembled slightly. "I saw you. At the airport," he said quietly. "With him." Lily's jaw clenched. "You don't get to say his name." "I know," Benjamin replied. I needed to know." "You don't get to need anything now," she snapped, pain flickering behind her eyes. He stepped closer, his voice cracking. "Is he mine?" Lily looked at him for a long time, eyes filled with something between fury and heartbreak. Finally, she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "Noah is your biological son." The confirmation struck him like a blow. "I didn't know," he said, pleading. "If I had—" "Don't lie to yourself, Ben," she said, almost gently. "You left. You didn't just walk out on me. You walked out on everything. That was your choice." Silence settled heavy between them. From behind the curtains, Benjamin saw movement. Noah and Daniel, laughing over something at the table. "I'm not here to destroy anything," he said finally. I needed to see him. Once. To know." "You've seen enough," Lily said, her voice trembling now. "Go." He stood for a long moment, then nodded. "Tell him—" He stopped. Never mind. He turned and walked away. Not toward his car, but down the sidewalk, disappearing into the evening mist. The days that followed passed like pages torn from a book Benjamin could no longer write in. He stayed in a modest hotel off Belmont Avenue, far from the penthouse he once called home. The room was small, quiet, unassuming, like the version of himself he had buried long ago. Each morning he returned to Maple Street, parking a few houses down, never too close. From his car, he watched the rhythm of a life he might have had. He saw Noah leave for school, backpack too big for his shoulders, always walking slightly ahead of Lily and Daniel. Sometimes, the boy kicked at pebbles. Sometimes he talked excitedly, his words a blur Benjamin couldn't hear. Once, he saw Lily tie Noah's scarf tighter, her fingers lingering at his cheek. It was a small gesture, one only a mother could give. But to Benjamin, it was an arrow through the heart. He had no right to speak, no permission to come near. But still, he watched, a stranger on the sidewalk of his own story. And yet, sometimes Noah would pause, look around, as if sensing someone nearby. Their eyes never met. But Benjamin wondered, could a son feel the presence of a father he never knew? At night, the guilt crashed over him in waves. In the dim hotel room, Benjamin sat with an old photograph in his hands, creased from years in a drawer. Lily, smiling in the sunlight, her eyes shining. That day in the park. She had packed a picnic and brought lemonade in a thermos. He had joked about ants. She had called him a city boy. He had kissed her forehead and promised to never leave. He had broken that promise. And the cost? It had a name now. A face. A voice that called another man Dad. One night, he scribbled a letter, then tore it up, then wrote another. He didn't know what to say. I'm sorry felt too small. Meanwhile, back on Maple Street, Lily sat by her bedroom window, staring into the night. A cup of tea untouched in her hands. She hadn't told Daniel that Benjamin had returned. She hadn't told Noah either. She had fought so hard to build a life out of ashes, to give her son something whole in a world that had once shattered her. But now, Benjamin's presence, his regret, lingered in the air like a storm on the horizon. Part of her wanted to protect Noah forever, to keep the truth buried, to preserve the simple joy they had managed to find. But another part, a quieter, more honest part, whispered, doesn't he deserve to know who he is? She remembered the nights she cried silently on the bathroom floor, one hand on her growing belly, the other clutching a picture of Benjamin. She had hated him then, but she had also loved him once. That complicated, messy love still lived in the shadows of her memories. Do people really change? She whispered aloud, more to herself than anyone. Down the hall, Noah's laughter rang out as Daniel helped him build a cardboard rocket ship. Lily smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. A few blocks away, Benjamin sat in his car, watching the lights in Noah's bedroom turn off. He whispered into the dark, to no one at all. I should have been the one to tuck you in. I should have read you bedtime stories and carried you on my shoulders. I wasn't there, I know that. But I'm here now, and I'll stay, even if it's just on the outside. That night, Benjamin walked by the house, just once. Not to intrude, just to feel closer. And inside, Lily, sitting in the quiet glow of the kitchen, saw his silhouette pass by the window. She didn't move, didn't call out, but something in her chest cracked open, just a little. The early afternoon sun painted long shadows on the sidewalk as Benjamin strolled slowly past the neighborhood park. He didn't mean to linger. At least, that's what he told himself. But the truth was, he'd learned Noah's routine. School at 3:30, a short walk home. Sometimes a stop at the small park near Maple Street. Benjamin waited near the edge of the playground, pretending to scroll through his phone, though he wasn't reading a word. He knew it was foolish, even reckless, to be here. But his heart had other plans. And then, like a whisper carried on the breeze, he saw him. Noah, in a worn red hoodie and grass-stained sneakers, kicked a slightly deflated soccer ball across the grass, talking to himself, lost in his own world. He wasn't with Lily or Daniel today, just him. The ball rolled further than expected, bouncing across the path and landing near Benjamin's feet. He froze. Noah jogged over, squinting up at him with cautious eyes. "Sorry, sir, that's mine." Benjamin bent down and picked up the ball. It was old, faded, a little torn along one seam. He smiled softly. "No problem. Got quite the kick, you know." Noah smiled shyly, brushing the hair out of his eyes. "I'm trying to get better. Daniel says I run too fast and forget the ball." Benjamin chuckled. "That's how I used to be." The words slipped out before he could stop them. "You play?" Noah asked, interest sparking in his eyes. "I used to, when I was your age, back before life got too busy." Noah nodded, the kind of understanding that only children possess. He bounced the ball gently between his hands. "I like playing with Daniel. He's not my real dad, but he's cool." Benjamin's throat tightened. "Sounds like a good man." "He is, but—" Noah hesitated. "Sometimes I wonder what my real dad was like." Benjamin's chest ached. "What do you think he was like?" he asked gently. Noah shrugged. "I don't know. Mom doesn't talk about him much. I guess maybe he didn't want to be around." Benjamin's heart broke right there on that sidewalk. "Maybe," he said softly, "he made a big mistake. Maybe he thought he was doing the right thing at the time. And maybe he regrets it more than anything." Noah looked up at him, puzzled. "You sound like you know him." Benjamin forced a smile. "Maybe I do. In a way." There was a pause between them. Quiet, tender, fragile. Like the air before a storm. "Thanks for bringing my ball back," Noah said after a moment. Benjamin nodded. "Anytime, kid." And just like that, Noah turned and ran back toward the park. Benjamin stood rooted to the spot, blinking back the emotion welling in his eyes. For those few brief minutes, he had spoken to his son. Really spoken to him. And the boy didn't even know. Back at home, Lily watched from the window. She had seen the whole thing. Every word, every smile, every pause. She hadn't planned to be there, but something told her to take the early train home. And now, she wasn't sure what she felt. Was it fear? Was it anger? Or was it relief? Because for the first time, she saw Benjamin not as the man who left, but as someone trying. Trying to connect. Trying to understand. Trying to make something right in a world where so much had already gone wrong. That night, as the city lights flickered on and Maple Street quieted down, Benjamin wrote in a small leather notebook. Not emails, not business notes, but something new. A letter to Noah. He didn't know when or if he'd ever give it to him. But the words poured out like rain from a broken sky. "Dear Noah, I met you today. You didn't know who I was. And maybe that's for the best. For now. But I want you to know, even if it's from a distance, I'm proud of you. I don't know who you'll become, but I already see kindness in your eyes and curiosity in your heart. If I never get the chance to tell you this in person, I want these words to live somewhere real. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry for all the birthdays, all the moments I'll never get back. But if there's ever a way, even a small one, I hope I can earn a place in your story. Benjamin, your father." The next morning, Lily sat at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a mug of lukewarm coffee that had long since lost its warmth, just like her peace of mind. Outside, birds chirped in the maple trees, and the hum of morning traffic filled the air. But inside, a storm brewed. Noah came bouncing into the kitchen, backpack already on his shoulders, a half-eaten piece of toast in one hand. "Mom, did you know the man at the park yesterday used to play soccer when he was a kid? He was really nice." Lily's heart skipped a beat. She tried to keep her voice even. "What man, sweetheart?" "The one who gave me my ball back. He didn't say his name, but he kinda looked like—" Noah squinted, searching for a word he didn't know how to say. "Like me, sort of." Lily's spoon clattered against the cup as her hand trembled. Daniel, seated across from her reading the morning paper, looked up sharply. "Who was this man?" he asked, too calmly. Lily tried to hide her reaction, but it was too late. Daniel noticed. Noah shrugged. Just some guy. He was nice. Talk to me for a bit. Lily forced a smile. It's probably someone new in the neighborhood. But Daniel wasn't fooled. Later, after Noah had left for school and the house had settled into silence, Daniel returned to the subject. Lily, he began, folding his hands on the table. Is there something you're not telling me? Lily looked up, her eyes tired, guarded. About what? About that man Noah met, Daniel said gently. You knew who he was the second Noah mentioned him. I saw your face. She looked away, swallowing hard. I didn't want to bring it up unless I had to. Daniel's voice softened. Lily, is it him? She nodded slowly. Yes, it's Benjamin. Daniel leaned back in his chair. For a long time he said nothing. Finally he asked, Does Noah know? No, Lily whispered. Not yet. Daniel stood, pacing slowly to the window. You always said he was gone, that he didn't want to be found. He didn't, Lily said, her voice growing brittle. He left without a word. He walked away from me. From us. I didn't even know I was pregnant. And now he's back? Daniel asked, turning to face her. Why? I don't know, Lily admitted, her voice shaking. Guilt? Regret? Maybe he wants to fix things. Maybe he wants a second chance. Daniel's face was unreadable. Do you want him to have one? The question landed like a stone between them. Lily didn't answer, because she didn't know. That night, after dinner, Lily sat on the edge of Noah's bed, tucking the blanket around him like she had every night since he was born. His hair was still damp from his bath, and he clutched his favorite stuffed bear, a gift from Daniel years ago. Mom? He asked, his voice sleepy. Yes, honey? Do you think people can change? Like, really change? The question caught her off guard. Why do you ask? Noah yawned. Just, that man from the park. He seemed sad, like he wanted to say something but didn't know how. Lily brushed a hand through his hair. Sometimes people carry a lot inside them, things they wish they could undo. Was my real dad like that? He asked softly, not looking at her. Lily's hand froze. She swallowed the lump in her throat. Why do you ask that, sweetheart? I don't know, he murmured. Sometimes I wonder what he was like. Did he love me? Did he know about me? Lily blinked away the tears pressing at the corners of her eyes. Your real dad, he made mistakes. Big ones. But it wasn't because he didn't love you. He didn't know. And by the time he found out, it was too late. Noah rolled onto his side, facing away. Maybe he could come to one of my soccer games someday. I think I'd like that. Lily sat still for a long time, listening to his breathing slow as sleep overtook him. Her heart was torn in two. Meanwhile, across town, Benjamin sat in his hotel room, staring at a crumpled photograph in his hands, an old image of him and Lily at a 4th of July picnic. Her face was smudged slightly from years of being folded and unfolded, her smile still radiant. The letter to Noah sat in his journal, unfinished. He didn't know how to step forward without stepping on the fragile life they had built in his absence. But the moment with Noah in the park, his voice, his eyes, it had awoken something in him. A desire not just to make amends, but to become someone worthy of forgiveness. The next afternoon, the wind rustled the leaves on Maple Street as golden light filtered through the trees. The neighborhood was quiet, serene, but inside one man's chest, a storm raged. Daniel parked his car a few blocks away, not wanting to draw attention. He knew where he was going. Frank had given Lily the name. Daniel had looked it up himself. A boutique hotel tucked between an old bookstore and a florist. He took a deep breath before walking into the lobby. Excuse me, he said to the clerk. I'm looking for a guest. Benjamin Carter. Can you ring his room? The clerk eyed him warily. May I ask what this is regarding? Tell him it's about Lily and Noah. Moments later, a voice crackled through the speaker. Send him up. The door to room 402 opened slowly. Benjamin stood there, looking older than his years, his tie loosened, sleeves rolled up. He wasn't the man Daniel expected. "Daniel," he said calmly. "I figured this moment was coming." Daniel stepped inside, his jaw tight, his eyes sharp. "You need to stop showing up, watching them, talking to Noah. You're confusing him." "I haven't told him anything," Benjamin replied. "You don't have to. Kids aren't stupid. They feel things," Daniel said, his voice rising. "You left Lily. You left your unborn child. And now you're circling like some ghost hoping to be invited in. You don't get to do that. Not after 10 years. Benjamin didn't argue. He sat down slowly, his shoulders sinking under the weight of everything he had done. "You're right," he said quietly. "I don't deserve to be a father. I don't deserve Lily's forgiveness. But that boy, he's part of me. And seeing him made me realize just how badly I broke everything." Daniel crossed his arms, his voice firm. "Lily doesn't need your guilt. And Noah doesn't need the confusion of a stranger who might leave again." "I'm not planning on leaving," Benjamin said. "You think staying changes what you did?" Daniel snapped. "You can't just sweep in and rewrite the story like you're the hero." Benjamin stood, meeting his gaze. "I'm not here to be a hero. I'm here to be accountable. For once in my life." The two men stood in silence, the air thick with anger and pain. Finally, Daniel spoke again, softer this time. "She cried for years, you know. Had nightmares. Couldn't breathe some mornings. I picked up the pieces of what you broke." Benjamin's eyes filled with shame. "I know. And for what it's worth, thank you." Daniel hesitated at the door. "If you really care about them, you'll leave them in peace." That evening, Lily sat on the porch, the autumn breeze tugging at her sweater sleeves. She knew Daniel had gone to see Benjamin, and when he returned, his silence said everything. He sat beside her without speaking. Finally, she asked, "Was he what you expected?" Daniel shook his head. "No, he wasn't." Lily looked down at her hands. "Do you think he's changed?" "I think he's broken," Daniel said quietly. "And maybe trying to put himself back together." They sat in silence, the weight of decisions heavy between them. "I love you, Lily," Daniel said finally. "But I won't pretend this isn't hurting me." "I know," she whispered. "I want to marry you," he said. "Raise Noah, be a family, but I can't do it if you're still standing in the doorway of the past." Her eyes filled with tears. "I don't know what to do," she said. "I see Noah starting to wonder. I hear the questions in his voice, and I can't lie to him forever." Daniel nodded. "Then don't. But be honest. With him, with yourself, and with me." He stood and kissed her gently on the forehead before walking inside, leaving her alone with the rustling leaves and the pull of memory. That night, Lily stood in Noah's bedroom, watching him sleep. The soft rise and fall of his chest, the peaceful expression on his face, the result of years of protection, of sacrifice. But now, the past had come knocking, and maybe it was time to answer. The morning sunlight filtered gently through the curtains, dust particles dancing in its glow. The house was still quiet. Outside, the world stirred, but within the small blue home on Maple Street, time seemed to hold its breath. Lily stood at the doorway of Noah's room, her hands wrapped around a cup of chamomile tea gone cold. She had barely slept. All night, memories had kept her awake. Memories of Benjamin before he became a stranger. Memories of the tiny baby she held alone in a dim hospital room. And memories of the years she had poured every ounce of strength into giving Noah the life he deserved. But she couldn't hide the truth anymore. Not from him. With a deep breath, she stepped into the room. "Noah," she said softly, sitting at the edge of the bed. He stirred beneath the covers. "Sweetheart, can we talk for a minute?" He rubbed his eyes, then sat up slowly, sensing the seriousness in her tone. "Is everything okay?" Lily reached for his hand, her fingers trembling slightly. "There's something I should have told you a long time ago, and I'm sorry I waited this long." Noah tilted his head. "Is it about my real dad?" Lily felt her heart lurch. "Yes." His expression shifted, surprise, then curiosity, then a guarded hope. Is it the man from the park? She blinked, caught off guard. You knew? I had a feeling, Noah said quietly. He looked like me. And I don't know. It just made sense. Lily looked down, ashamed. I wanted to protect you. I didn't want you to grow up wondering why he wasn't here. I thought if I gave you a full, happy life, you wouldn't need to know. But I do wonder, Noah said, his voice suddenly shaky. All the time. Lily nodded, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. His name is Benjamin Carter. We were together a long time ago, before you were born. He left, and he didn't know I was pregnant. I never told him. Noah blinked rapidly. Why? Because I was scared, angry, hurt, and by the time I was ready to tell him, he was gone, living another life. Noah sat quietly, processing. Is that why Daniel's not my real dad? Lily nodded. Daniel loves you very much. He's been there since you were little. He chose to be part of your life. I know, Noah whispered. But, Benjamin, does he want to be part of it now? Lily hesitated. I think... Yes. I think he's trying. I think he regrets everything. Noah looked down at his blanket. He talked to me, Mom, at the park. He didn't say he was my dad, but I think he wanted to. Tears welled in Lily's eyes. I'm so sorry, Noah. I never wanted to hurt you. He looked up, his young eyes wise beyond their years. You didn't hurt me, Mom. You've always been here. That's what matters. She pulled him into a hug, holding him close, breathing in the scent of his hair, the warmth of his back. For a long time, neither of them said anything. When they finally pulled apart, Noah asked softly, Can I see him again? Lily paused. Only if you want to, and if you're ready. Noah nodded. I think I am. Later that afternoon, Lily sent a message to the number she never saved in her contacts. You told me you wanted a chance to know him. He wants that too. Tomorrow, the park. 4 o'clock. Be kind. Be honest. Don't disappear. There was no signature. She didn't need one. That night, Daniel came home, tired from work, his face shadowed with worry. Lily met him at the door. I told Noah? She said quietly. Daniel set down his keys, his jaw tightening. How did he take it? As well as a 10-year-old can, she replied. Daniel nodded, stepping into the kitchen. There was a pause, thick, unsure. Are you angry with me? She asked. No, he said. Just afraid. Of losing us? She asked, her voice trembling. No, of not knowing where I fit anymore. Lily walked to him, placing her hands on his chest. You are his home. You always have been. But this is part of him too. We can't erase it. We can only face it. Daniel nodded slowly. Then we face it, together. The old park bench was chipped at the edges, the paint long faded from too many seasons of sun and snow. It sat under a canopy of trees at the far end of the playground. Quiet, tucked away, like a secret waiting to be told. Benjamin arrived early. He had barely slept the night before. His fingers fidgeted with the edge of a folded letter in his pocket, the one he had rewritten a dozen times. He looked up every time a child's laughter rang through the air, hoping it was him. And then, around the curve of the path, he saw them. Noah, in a blue jacket too big for his frame, walking beside Lily, who held his hand loosely but protectively. As they neared, Lily gave Benjamin a small, guarded nod, then stepped back, leaving father and son alone under the amber light of late afternoon. Benjamin stood up slowly, unsure of what to say, what to do, afraid that even breathing too loudly might scare the boy away. Noah stopped in front of him, his expression cautious, but not closed. Hi, the boy said. Benjamin swallowed hard. Hi, Noah. There was a pause, and then Benjamin motioned to the bench. "Can I sit with you?" Noah nodded. They sat side by side, two sets of nearly identical green eyes staring out at the swing set across the field. Benjamin clasped his hands in his lap. I've thought about this moment for a very long time. "Why didn't you come sooner?" Noah asked. The question was simple, but it hit like a thunderclap. Benjamin nodded slowly, pain rising behind his eyes. "Because I was selfish and scared, and I convinced myself that leaving was the right thing. I was wrong." "Did you know about me?" "No," Benjamin said quickly. "Not until a few weeks ago. I saw you at the airport with your mom, and the second I looked at you, I just knew." Noah looked down at his shoes. It was weird, like meeting someone I already knew. Benjamin smiled faintly. "That's exactly how it felt for me." They sat in silence again, but this time it wasn't uncomfortable. It was heavy, but sacred, like something old being mended. Noah turned to him. "Did you write me a letter?" Benjamin blinked. How did you know?" "You just look like someone who would do something awkward like that," Noah shrugged. "I read a lot of books. That's what the characters do when they mess up." Benjamin laughed softly for the first time in days. "I did. It's in my pocket." He handed the folded note to Noah, who opened it carefully. The handwriting was slightly messy, like it had been written with shaking hands, which in truth it had. Noah read it silently. His lips didn't move, but his brow furrowed slightly at the edges, then smoothed. When he finished, he held the letter on his lap and stared forward. "Do you want to be my dad now?" he asked. Benjamin swallowed the lump in his throat. "Yes, more than anything. But only if you want that too. I'm not here to replace Daniel, or to change your life. I'm just here. As much or as little as you want me to be." Noah was quiet for a long time. Then, "You missed a lot." "I know. Like, all of it." Benjamin nodded. "I know. And I don't know if I'm okay with that yet." Benjamin placed a hand over his heart. "That's okay. I'll wait, as long as it takes." Noah looked at him. Really looked at him. "Do you like Star Wars?" Benjamin blinked. "What?" "Star Wars," Noah repeated. "Because I have a lot of questions about The Empire Strikes Back, and Daniel's never seen it." A slow, hopeful smile spread across Benjamin's face. "I love Star Wars." Noah cracked a small grin. "Okay, then maybe we can start there." From across the park, Lily watched, her arms folded tightly around herself. She had braced for tears, for anger, for rejection. But what she saw instead was connection. Not a reunion, not yet, but a beginning. That night, Lily tucked Noah into bed and kissed his forehead like always. But before she left the room, he whispered, "Mom?" "Yes, sweetheart?" "I think I want to see him again." Lily's voice caught. "Okay." "And I think I'm ready to forgive him." Tears welled in her eyes. "You're a brave boy, Noah." He shrugged under the covers. "You raised me." The silence inside the penthouse apartment was different than the quiet of Maple Street. Here, it was cold, emptied of meaning, filled only with echoes. Benjamin hadn't set foot in this place in over 2 weeks. The polished marble floors, glass walls, and leather-bound furniture, all of it once symbolized success. Now it felt sterile, like a mausoleum of a man he no longer wanted to be. He stood near the floor-to-ceiling windows, gazing out at the glittering skyline of Chicago. The city hadn't changed, but he had. And now it was time to close this chapter. Behind him, the front door clicked open. Vanessa entered, dressed impeccably in a tailored white coat, heels clicking like clock hands across the floor. She didn't look surprised to see him. "Well," she said coolly, dropping her designer bag onto the counter. "The prodigal husband returns." Benjamin turned, calm but firm. "We need to talk." Vanessa arched a brow. "Oh, I'm sure we do. You've ignored my calls, abandoned meetings, and from what I hear, spent quite a bit of time in a charming little neighborhood on the north side." Her eyes narrowed. "I know about the boy. Benjamin didn't flinch. His name is Noah. He's my son. Vanessa laughed once, humorless. So it's true, and here I thought you were just spiraling into a midlife crisis. I'm leaving, Vanessa, Benjamin said simply. She blinked. Leaving? I'm done. With this. With us. With the lie I've lived since the day I walked away from the only woman who ever loved me for who I was, not what I could offer. Vanessa's face hardened, her voice laced with venom. You think you can just walk out of this marriage? This empire we built together? I made you. No, Benjamin said, his voice steady. You tempted me. You whispered promises of power, of prestige, and I listened. That's on me. But don't confuse ambition with love. Vanessa stepped forward, eyes blazing. You're nothing without me. You'll lose everything. Maybe, he admitted, but I'll gain something better. Like what? She sneered. A rundown house and a fatherless kid who looks like you? Benjamin's jaw clenched. Like a second chance to be a man I can be proud of. A father my son can look up to. Someone who doesn't hide behind numbers and headlines. Vanessa scoffed, grabbing her phone. I'll bury you, Benjamin. I have records, accounts, things the IRS would love to see. Then show them, Benjamin said, because for the first time in years, I'm not afraid of being exposed. Vanessa faltered. You've always fought to win, Vanessa. But this fight, he said, walking to the door, I'm not playing anymore. He paused before leaving. I wish you peace, truly, but I can't be part of your world any longer. And with that, Benjamin walked out, not just from the apartment, but from the empty shell of a life he once thought was everything. That night, back in his modest hotel room, Benjamin sat on the edge of the bed, breathing slowly. He had nothing. No mansion, no fortune, no tailored life of silk and silence. But he had clarity. He had Noah's smile in the park. He had Lily's quiet forgiveness starting to peek through the pain. And above all, he had hope, that even after a decade of wrong turns, there was still a road back to meaning. The headlines hit before sunrise. Real estate tycoon Benjamin Carter, under investigation for financial misconduct. Anonymous source exposes years of questionable deals, facing IRS audit and possible charges. Carter empire crumbling as private life surfaces in public scandal. Benjamin read it all from the cracked screen of his phone, sitting at a small cafe on the corner of Clark and Oakwood. He didn't flinch. Not this time. He knew who had leaked the information. Vanessa. And honestly, she didn't have to dig that deep. He had built an empire on ambition. And in some places, compromise. He knew where the shadows were because he had helped cast them. His phone buzzed endlessly. Lawyers, former business partners, journalists, vultures. He ignored them all. Then came the call that mattered. Ben? Came Lily's voice, tense but not surprised. I know, he said quietly. I'm sorry. She hesitated. Are you going to be okay? I don't know, but I'm going to face it. I'm not hiding anymore. There was a silence between them, the kind that didn't ask for more than it gave. Do you want to come over? She asked softly. Noah's been asking about you. He saw the news. I think he wants to hear it from you. Benjamin closed his eyes, the tears coming quickly. I'll be there. That evening, as the autumn sun dipped low behind the rooftops of Maple Street, Benjamin stood once again on Lily's porch. Only this time, not as a ghost from the past, but as a man ready to be seen in full light. Lily opened the door. Her eyes held a weariness that only truth could bring. But they also held something else. Respect. Inside, Noah sat on the couch, arms crossed, the TV remote sitting untouched beside him. When he saw Benjamin, he didn't smile, but he didn't look away either. Benjamin took a seat across from him, his voice calm but trembling. You saw the news? Noah nodded. Is it true? He asked. Yes, Benjamin said. I made mistakes. Some of them were bad ones. I let greed guide me. I let ambition become my compass. And now I have to answer for that. Will you go to jail? Noah asked bluntly, his voice just above a whisper. Maybe. Benjamin answered honestly. I've hired someone to help me sort through the legal part of it. But if that's where this leads, I won't run. I won't hide. Noah looked down at his hands. Why are you telling me this? Benjamin leaned forward. Because you're my son. And if I want to be in your life, even a little, I have to show you who I really am. Not just the man I want to be, but the one I've been. All of it. Noah didn't speak right away. Then, I don't care if you're rich. Benjamin smiled sadly. Neither do I. Not anymore. The next morning, Benjamin met with his attorneys. He made the calls, handed over documents, confessed to what he had buried for years. Later, he stepped out of the courthouse into a sea of flashing cameras and shouted questions. But for the first time, he didn't feel small. He had lost control of the narrative, but he had gained something far greater: integrity. He wasn't rebuilding his reputation. He was rebuilding himself. Back at Maple Street, Lily turned off the news and sat quietly beside Noah, who was deep in thought. Mom, he asked, what happens now? Lily looked at her son and gave him the only answer she could. Now, we love him through it. That's what family does. The bell rang at Lincoln Elementary, signaling the end of fourth period. Children spilled out of classrooms, their laughter echoing through the hallways like little earthquakes of joy. But Noah Carter didn't laugh that day. He walked quietly to his locker, his steps slower than usual, his shoulders hunched, eyes low. It had started small, whispers behind cupped hands, sideways glances, kids repeating what they'd overheard their parents say. Isn't his dad the guy who's going to jail? My mom says he stole money from people. Guess not even rich kids get happy endings. And then came the shove. It wasn't much, just a rough nudge against the locker. But it carried weight. Your dad's a criminal, a boy sneered. Guess that makes you one too. Noah didn't respond. He didn't cry. He just stood there, swallowing the pain like a bitter pill. That evening, Lily found him in his room, staring at the wall, his homework untouched. Bad day? She asked gently. Noah nodded, tears finally spilling over. They hate me, Mom. Because of him. Lily pulled him into her arms. No, baby. They're scared of what they don't understand. But that doesn't make them right. He buried his face in her shoulder. Why did he come back? Everything was fine before. Lily didn't answer right away. She stroked his hair, the way she used to when he was still small enough to sleep on her chest. He came back because he wants to be better. For you. That doesn't erase the hard parts. But it does mean he's trying. Noah sniffled. He said he didn't care about being rich anymore. And I believe him, she said softly. When Benjamin arrived at the house the next morning for his weekly visit, Lily met him on the porch. Noah's in his room, she said. He doesn't want to talk. He's hurting. Benjamin's stomach sank. What happened? She explained everything. The bullying, the whispers, the shame that now followed Noah like a shadow. Benjamin sat down on the front step, burying his face in his hands. This is my fault, he said. No, Lily replied. It's not that simple. You didn't teach those kids cruelty. But you can help Noah understand that he's not alone in this. Benjamin nodded, eyes filled with a helpless pain. I'd give anything to take it away. Then start by showing up, Lily said. Even when it hurts. That night, Benjamin made a decision. He opened his laptop and began typing a public letter. Not to the press, not to investors, but to his son. He posted it on a simple blog titled, To the One Who Matters Most. Dear Noah, I know people are talking about me, saying things you never asked to carry. I wish I could shield you from all of it. The truth is, I made mistakes. Big ones. I chased the wrong things and forgot what truly mattered. I forgot who mattered. But I'm here now. Not as a rich man, not as a businessman, just as your father. The one who missed your first steps, your first words, your first day of school, and who would give anything to make sure he doesn't miss another moment again. You are not what I've done. You are not my shame. You are my hope, and I will spend every day of my life proving that to you. Love, Dad. He closed the laptop and sent the link to Lily. Lily read it that night while Noah slept. Her hand went to her mouth as the tears came silently. Not out of sadness this time, but from the truth of it. The simplicity. The vulnerability. The next morning, Noah saw the letter. He didn't say much, but at breakfast, he looked at his mom and said, "Can I invite him to my science fair?" Lily smiled gently. "Of course, sweetheart." The gymnasium at Lincoln Elementary buzzed with excitement. Tables lined with trifold display boards, kids fidgeting in their dress clothes, parents holding coffee cups and offering proud smiles as cameras clicked like popcorn. Benjamin stood near the entrance, feeling completely out of place. He wasn't wearing a suit. He didn't bring an assistant or drive up in a luxury car. He came in jeans, a plain shirt, and a paper in his pocket with Noah's project number on it, crumpled from how many times he'd opened and read it on the train ride over. Around him, parents whispered. Some recognized him. The news stories still lingered like smoke after a fire, but Benjamin didn't care about their stares. He was here for one reason. He scanned the room, and then he saw him. Noah, standing beside a cardboard display labeled, "The Science of Sound, How Vibrations Travel Through Air." He wore a blue polo shirt, his hair slightly messy, his cheeks flushed with excitement and nerves. Lily stood behind him, her hands resting gently on his shoulders. Benjamin approached slowly, uncertain. When Noah saw him, the boy's face was unreadable. For a moment. Then, slowly, he smiled. Not wide, not showy, but real. Benjamin's breath caught in his throat. He would have traded every dollar he ever earned for that one smile. "Hey, Noah," he said softly. "Mind if I take a look?" Noah nodded. "Sure, I've been waiting." Benjamin stepped forward, studying the project. It was surprisingly detailed. Rubber bands stretched across boxes, a small speaker wired to a phone, sound wave diagrams drawn with care. "You did all this yourself?" Benjamin asked, genuinely impressed. Noah shrugged. "Mom helped with the typing, but I picked the topic. I like things that explain invisible stuff, like how you don't see sound, but it's still there." Benjamin nodded slowly, absorbing more than the science. "That's a smart way to look at it," he said. "Sometimes the invisible things are the most powerful." They stood side by side, people drifting around them. Lily stepped back to give them space. "You nervous?" Benjamin asked. "A little," Noah admitted. "You want me to stay?" Noah looked up at him, then nodded once. "Yeah, I think I do." Smeh. The judges came by 20 minutes later, clipboard in hand. Noah answered questions clearly, confidently. Benjamin watched with quiet awe as his son explained pitch and frequency, his hands animated, his voice steady. And when the judge asked about the most challenging part, Noah said, "Waiting for someone I care about to see it." Benjamin smiled, biting the inside of his cheek to keep emotion from rising too fast. When the presentation ended and the judge walked away, Benjamin leaned down and whispered, "I'm really proud of you." Noah turned to him. "I know, I could feel it." After the fair, the three of them walked out into the fading afternoon sun. Lily carried a folder of handouts, while Noah bounced ahead, clutching his participant ribbon. "I want ice cream," Noah said suddenly. Lily laughed. "You just had 3 cookies." "I know," he grinned, "but today feels like an ice cream kind of day." He looked back at Benjamin. "You coming?" Benjamin blinked. "If I'm invited?" Noah didn't answer with words. He just kept walking, but slower this time, making room beside him on the sidewalk. Benjamin joined him, step for step. From across the street, an older couple who had followed Benjamin's public fall watched the trio walk down the block, laughing, chatting, completely ordinary. The woman nudged her husband and whispered, "That's him, isn't it? The one who lost everything?" The man nodded. "Well," the woman said softly, "looks like he found something better." It was a quiet Thursday morning when Lily received the envelope. Plain, white, no return address. But the paper inside was thick, the seal embossed, and the letterhead unmistakably from a law office. She sat at the kitchen table, sunlight warming her back, coffee growing cold beside her as she slowly unfolded the page. The letter was formal, but behind the words, she could hear Benjamin's voice. To Lily, I know this is unusual. I didn't want to deliver it in person, because I didn't want this to feel like another performance. After much thought and consultation with legal counsel, I've chosen to voluntarily surrender all remaining shares of my former company and relinquish any assets tied to it. I've also submitted a sworn affidavit to federal authorities detailing all financial misconduct under my name, without implicating others. This is mine to carry, mine to clear. This decision wasn't made lightly. I know it may seem reckless, but it's not about money anymore. It's about finally laying down every piece of the life that pulled me away from you. I never want Noah to grow up in the shadow of what I did. I want him to see what it looks like when a man takes responsibility, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. I don't expect applause. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want peace. For you, for him, for me. With respect, Benjamin. Lily read the letter twice, then a third time. She didn't cry. Not this time. The tears had already been shed, but she felt something else rise in her chest. Respect. Meanwhile, in a modest office in the city, Benjamin signed the last of the documents that would separate him from everything he had spent years chasing. The high-rise views, the offshore accounts, the company logo that used to make him feel like a king. He handed the pen back to his lawyer with a calm hand. "That's everything," the lawyer said, sounding a little stunned. "You understand this leaves you with nothing?" Benjamin smiled faintly. "That's not true." The lawyer blinked. "You mean your reputation?" "No," Benjamin replied. "I mean Noah. I mean Lily. I mean knowing I'm not hiding from who I was anymore." He stood, shook hands, and walked out into the afternoon light. That evening, Lily sat on the back steps of her house, watching Noah kick a soccer ball in the yard. Daniel stood nearby, arms crossed, his eyes full of quiet understanding. He had read the letter too. "I never thought I'd say this," Daniel said softly, "but I'm starting to believe he means it." Lily nodded. "I do too." Noah kicked the ball too hard, and it bounced across the lawn toward the fence. Benjamin, arriving just then, jogged up and stopped it with his foot. "Nice kick," he called. Noah grinned. "We're practicing for Saturday." Benjamin passed the ball back, and for a moment, all three adults watched the boy chase it down. No walls, no secrets, just motion, life. "Thank you for the letter," Lily said, her voice quiet but firm. Benjamin turned to her, surprised. "I didn't expect a response." "You didn't ask for one," she replied. "That's how I knew it was real." They stood in silence, shoulder to shoulder, watching their son. "I know it'll take time," Benjamin said. Lily nodded. "Time is all we ever really have." The office was small, nothing like the glass towers Benjamin used to call home. The paint on the walls was chipped, the desks mismatched, and the coffee machine barely worked. But, to Benjamin Carter, it felt like purpose. The nonprofit, Second Start, was located in a repurposed library on the south side of Chicago. Its mission: helping at-risk youth and formerly incarcerated adults rebuild their lives through job training, mentorship, and real-world business education. Benjamin didn't come here as a celebrity. He didn't want headlines. He came as a man who had been given a second chance and wanted to help others find one too. That morning, as Benjamin adjusted the folding chairs in the community room, he looked up and saw Noah walk through the front door, his backpack slung over one shoulder and a skeptical expression on his face. "Hey," Benjamin said, wiping his hands on a towel. "You made it." Noah shrugged. "Mom said I should see what you're working on." "I'm glad she did." Benjamin gave him a quick tour. Nothing fancy, just a row of used computers, a whiteboard scribbled with small business ideas, and a table with a box of donated notebooks. "I teach a class here every Thursday," he explained. "It's nothing big, just helping people figure out how to write a business plan, apply for loans, get their first job. Things I used to take for granted." Noah looked around, clearly curious. "Do they know who you are?" "Some do," Benjamin admitted. "Most don't care. They just want someone to listen, someone who's been through some stuff." He hesitated before asking, Would you want to stay for today's session? Noah looked unsure. What's it about? Benjamin smiled. Failure. Noah laughed despite himself. You're kind of an expert. Benjamin grinned. I am. But I've learned that failure's just the beginning. If you're brave enough to look it in the eye. The classroom filled slowly with men and women of all ages. Some barely in their 20s, others gray-haired and weathered. They sat with arms folded, eyes guarded. Benjamin stood at the front. This isn't a class where I pretend to have all the answers, he began. I lost everything because I thought success meant power. But the truth is, real success is the ability to start again without shame. He glanced at Noah sitting in the back, arms still crossed, but listening now. I used to run a company worth millions, Benjamin continued. Now I run spreadsheets for folks trying to open food trucks and barbershops. And I've never felt more alive. A young man in the front row raised his hand. You ever think people won't take you seriously because of what you did? Benjamin nodded. All the time. But I also know this. When you're honest about your past, the right people see you for who you're becoming, not who you used to be. From the back of the room, Noah sat up straighter. After the session, Benjamin and Noah walked out together under the soft gray sky. Was that boring? Benjamin asked. Noah shook his head. No, actually, it was kind of cool. Benjamin smiled. You want to help me next time? I could use someone to teach the Excel class. I don't even know Excel, Noah said. Then we'll learn it together. There was a pause. Then Noah looked up at him and said, I didn't think I'd ever see you like this. Benjamin's voice caught. What do you see now? Noah shrugged. Someone who's trying to be better. That matters. Benjamin looked away, blinking hard. Thanks, kid. They walked the rest of the block in silence. But it wasn't empty silence. It was the kind of silence that only exists when forgiveness is starting to take root. It was just a slip of paper, folded in half, tucked into Noah's backpack between homework and a permission slip. But when Lily found it and handed it to Benjamin, he read the words 3 times, like he couldn't quite believe them. Father-son field night, this Friday, 6:30 p.m. Lincoln Elementary Gymnasium. He stared at the invitation as if it were fragile, like touching it too much might make it disappear. He wants you to come, Lily said gently. Benjamin looked up, his voice low. Are you sure? Lily nodded. He asked specifically. That Friday, Benjamin stood outside the school gym, hands sweaty, heart pounding. He hadn't set foot inside a school since his own boyhood, and certainly not as a parent. Through the glass doors, he could see other dads joking with their sons, high-fiving, tying shoelaces, carrying snacks. He saw Daniel, too, helping set up cones with a few other volunteers. Lily had told him Daniel had offered to step aside for the night. He said it was your moment, she'd told Benjamin, and I think he meant it. Still, Benjamin hesitated. What if Noah changed his mind? What if other kids whispered like they had before? What if... Then he saw him. Noah. Standing alone near the bleachers, craning his neck toward the door. Looking for someone. Looking for him. And that's when Benjamin walked in. Hey, he said softly as he approached. Noah turned, his face breaking into a shy but unmistakable smile. You came. Benjamin shrugged. I heard there would be orange slices. Noah laughed. There's a 3-legged race. You better stretch. Benjamin chuckled, rubbing his knees. That might be the end of me. They stood side by side in the gym, surrounded by squeaking sneakers, echoing whistles, and the laughter of fathers and sons. Noah handed him a name tag that read Benjamin, Noah's dad. Benjamin stared at it. Is it okay? Noah asked, suddenly unsure. Benjamin's eyes shimmered. It's perfect. He peeled the sticker and placed it over his heart. The night unfolded in bursts of laughter and awkward games. They lost the water balloon toss in the first round. Benjamin tripped during the obstacle course, but Noah laughed every time, not out of embarrassment, but out of joy. Near the end of the night, one of the teachers stood at the microphone. Before we go, we want to recognize a few special pairs tonight, she said. Fathers who've shown us what showing up really means. Benjamin stiffened when she called out, Noah Carter and his dad. Benjamin. The gym clapped politely. Benjamin's ears burned. But then, Noah clapped the loudest. He didn't shy away, didn't roll his eyes or look to the floor. He beamed. Benjamin walked up, standing beside his son, arm gently across Noah's shoulders. The teacher handed Noah a small ribbon that said, Best Teammates. It was a silly gesture, but to Benjamin, it might as well have been a crown. He looked down at Noah, who whispered, You did good tonight. Benjamin's voice cracked. So did you. Later, as they left the school, Noah held the ribbon in one hand and Benjamin's in the other. Can we do this again sometime? He asked. Benjamin smiled through the lump in his throat. As long as they let old guys like me in, I'll be there. And for the first time, walking back to Lily's car under the streetlight glow, Benjamin didn't feel like a man trying to belong. He felt like a father who finally did. The knock came early, too early for anything good. Lily was pouring coffee. Noah was still asleep. Daniel had just stepped onto the porch with the morning paper. And there she was. Vanessa, dressed like she always was, pristine, expensive, and cold as marble. Daniel stepped forward, shielding the doorway instinctively. Can I help you? He asked. Vanessa gave a tight-lipped smile. I'm looking for Benjamin. He doesn't live here, Daniel said. No, she said, peering past him into the modest home. But I assume this is where he's been playing family. Daniel didn't move. You should leave. At that moment, Lily appeared in the doorway behind him. Her hair was pulled back, her expression calm, but her eyes sharp. You have 2 minutes, she said. Vanessa smirked and stepped closer. I assume you've read the papers by now, she said. Benjamin may have walked away from the company, but I haven't. And if he thinks he can walk off with a clean conscience and a do-over with his Hallmark-ready family, he's mistaken. Lily crossed her arms. Why are you really here? To remind him who holds the rest of the cards, Vanessa said. The audits, the offshore accounts, the settlements. He may have confessed what he knew, but I still have more, and I can take him down with a single leak. And why haven't you? Daniel asked, voice low. Vanessa looked at him, then Lily, then the quiet house behind them. Because I didn't expect him to disappear so quietly. I didn't expect him to actually let go. And frankly, she said, her voice rising, I didn't expect you people to welcome him back. Lily stepped forward. You're not angry because he left the company, Vanessa. You're angry because he stopped needing you to feel powerful. Vanessa's nostrils flared. You built him into something useful, Lily continued. But when he stopped being useful to you, you didn't know what to do. And now, Daniel added, stepping beside her, you're standing on a porch trying to scare a man who already lost everything and found something better. Vanessa blinked, thrown off by their unified front. Just then, the screen door creaked behind them. Benjamin stood there, hair uncombed, a simple flannel shirt, and eyes filled not with fear, but peace. It's okay, he told Lily and Daniel softly. They stepped aside. Benjamin looked at Vanessa and nodded politely. I thought you might show up, he said. She folded her arms. So, what's the plan? You think you've walked into sainthood? No, he said. I've just walked into honesty. Vanessa scoffed. You really think these people will stand by you when they see the full truth? Benjamin gestured around them. They already have. And they're still here. Vanessa looked from Lily, standing calm but firm, to Daniel, unshaken. And behind them, the faint shadow of Noah watching quietly through the hallway. She stepped back. You're pathetic, she hissed. No, Benjamin replied gently. I'm finally free. Vanessa turned sharply and walked back to her car. She didn't look back. Later that morning, Benjamin sat on the porch alone, sipping coffee. Lily joined him quietly, 2 mugs in hand. You okay? She asked. He nodded, for the first time in years. Daniel stepped out a few minutes later, holding the morning paper. No story about you today, he said. Guess she didn't leak anything. Benjamin looked surprised. She'll try, Lily said. But you've already done what she can't, told the truth. Noah opened the door behind them. Are we still going to the museum today? Benjamin looked at both adults, waiting for permission without asking. Lily smiled. Yes, we are. Daniel nodded. I'll drive. And just like that, the little patchwork family stepped off the porch and into the day, no longer haunted by who they used to be, but walking together toward who they were becoming. The morning of Noah's 11th birthday arrived gently, with golden light pouring through the windows of the modest home on Maple Street. Balloons danced softly in the breeze of an open window, and the kitchen smelled of vanilla and chocolate, Lily's famous cake cooling on the counter. Noah padded into the living room in his pajamas, rubbing his eyes, greeted by a loud, "Happy birthday!" from Lily and Daniel, who held up a handmade sign, goofy and bright. Laughter filled the room, but one set of footsteps was missing. Noah glanced around. Is he coming? Lily smiled. He said he had something special to finish. He'll be here soon. 2 hours later, the doorbell rang. Noah ran to answer it. There stood Benjamin, holding a large flat object wrapped in brown paper. He looked nervous, more than a little awkward. Happy birthday, Noah. Noah grinned. Is that for me? Benjamin nodded. Yeah, but can we open it together? Just the two of us for a minute? Lily nodded. You can use the porch. They sat on the old swing outside, the gift between them. Benjamin rubbed the back of his neck. I know you probably expected a bike or a video game or something cooler. Noah shrugged. It's okay. I've got stuff. I'd rather have something real. Benjamin smiled, heart tight. Well, I hope this is that. He handed him the package. Noah slowly peeled back the wrapping. Inside was a shadow box, a deep wooden frame filled with items carefully arranged. A tiny, beat-up toy train, old and worn. A small hospital bracelet with Noah's birth date and baby Carter. A folded photo of Lily holding newborn Noah, her eyes filled with strength and softness. And in the center, a handwritten letter. Noah looked at Benjamin, confused and moved. What is this? Benjamin's voice was quiet. It's what I would have given you if I had been there. On your first birthday, on your 5th, on all the ones I missed. That train? It was mine when I was a kid. The hospital bracelet? Lily kept it all these years. And that photo? I just saw it a few weeks ago for the first time. Noah stared at it all, hands trembling slightly. And the letter? He asked. Benjamin took a shaky breath. Read it when you're ready. But it says everything I never got to say. About how proud I am of you. About how sorry I am. And about how, from this birthday forward, I'll never miss another one. Not if I can help it. Noah didn't speak. He just leaned over and wrapped his arms around his father. Tightly. Silently. And Benjamin held him, his hand cupping the back of his son's head, his eyes wet with tears he didn't wipe away. Inside, Lily watched from the window, her heart full. Daniel stood beside her, coffee in hand. Good gift, he said quietly. Lily nodded. The best one. That evening, the house filled with voices, neighbors, a few friends from school, laughter, pizza, and one very lopsided cake. Noah wore a paper crown someone made from construction paper. He insisted everyone wear party hats, including Benjamin, who looked ridiculous and couldn't have cared less. During presents, someone asked, What's your favorite thing you got today? Noah looked around the room. He didn't point to the new soccer ball or the gift cards or even the cake. He just looked at Benjamin and smiled. 1 year later. The sun rose slowly over Chicago, washing the rooftops in soft gold and stretching long shadows across Maple Street. Inside a small second-floor apartment above a corner bookstore, Benjamin Carter stood in front of the mirror, buttoning a plain white shirt. No cufflinks, no gold watch, just a simple man. He stared at his reflection, the lines on his face a little deeper, the gray at his temples a little more honest. His hands were steady now, not from confidence, from peace. Today marked the end of his probation. The legal mess was behind him. The company? Gone. The fortune? A memory. But what stood in front of the mirror now was a man rebuilt. That morning, he walked the familiar route to Maple Street, carrying nothing but a book in his hand and a gentle smile on his face. When he knocked on Lily's door, Noah answered, already in his soccer uniform, shin guards crooked, hair still damp from the shower. "You're late," Noah teased. "I'm early," Benjamin corrected. "Mom says being on time is early, so if you're on time, you're late." Benjamin laughed. "Well, I'm late then." Lily appeared behind them, car keys in hand. "We ready?" They piled into Daniel's car, like they did most Saturdays now. Noah's game wasn't a championship. It wasn't even scored. Just a group of kids chasing a ball with parents cheering too loudly, and water bottles getting lost under the bleachers. But to Benjamin, it was sacred. After the game, they all sat at a nearby diner. The waitress knew them by name. Noah ordered pancakes even though it was almost noon. "So," Daniel asked between bites, "now that you're officially a free man, what's the plan?" Benjamin smiled. "Keep showing up. Keep working at the nonprofit. Maybe teach a business ethics class at the community college." Lily looked at him warmly. "That's wonderful." Noah leaned across the table. "Can I come to class one day? Maybe I can help you teach." Benjamin's voice caught. "I'd love that." Later that night, Benjamin returned to his apartment and opened his old journal, the one he had started writing in during his first week back in Chicago. The pages were now filled with small memories, thoughts, things he didn't want to forget. He turned to the last page and wrote, "A year ago, I had money and power. Today, I have a second chance. I used to live in silence, chasing applause. Now I live in conversation, chasing meaning. I have a son who forgave me, a woman who trusted me again, a friend who stood by when he didn't have to. I lost everything I once thought I needed. And in return, I found everything that truly matters." He closed the journal and looked out the window as streetlights flickered to life. Somewhere down the block, he heard a boy's laughter. And in the quiet afterward, Benjamin Carter, once a man haunted by the past, sat still, hand over his heart, and whispered, "Thank you." Dear listener, if this story touched your heart, reminded you of someone you love, or helped you see a second chance in a new light, we invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. We believe everyone deserves redemption, even if the road is long and uneven. Let us know. Have you ever forgiven someone who hurt you? Or maybe, have you ever been the one asking for forgiveness? Please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another story that speaks to the soul. Until next time, stay kind, stay hopeful, and remember, it's never too late to come home.